Hello, good morning. Good morning, London. So today we're going to talk about something that Theresa May should appreciate. It's the end of polling. In a different sense, we're going to talk about API streaming, not polling to voting. All right. So one thing I wanted to share first is the reason why we see more and more of those static UX disappearing. You know, those experiences where you need to click on the symbol like this to get the latest information. You need to think about clicking on the symbol like this, and then you get the update. Now, what everybody sees in the best applications is information that refreshes by itself. You don't need to click. You get the updates right away. Why is that? It's because our brain, the reptilian piece of our brain, is considering something to be alive when it receives an update twice a second. So if you see something that moves twice a second, it's alive. If it doesn't move twice a second, it's dead. You don't want to watch things that are dead because you're a hunter. You watch things that are alive and you connect to them. So whenever you think about building an experience for your user, think about making them alive, because this is the way their brain will directly connect and be immersed in the experience you propose. The second reason why we see more and more of these real-time data application coming in is FOMO. Who knows what is FOMO? One person? It's the fear of missing out. Ah! So we're all used to getting information coming to us in real time, all the time, either something that's coming to us in our neighborhood or in the other part of the world. And when you're not aware of something that could be interesting, that could be happening on the other side of the world, you're in fear. When you bring real-time data to people, then you actually get them to relax. So it is actually weird that by presenting something that moves a lot, you get people to relax. But it's just because then they know that they're connected to a live application and to a live reality. The third reason why we see those live applications coming in the financial market is money, because real time is real money. I got to see that firsthand when I was in New York 10 years ago. I was one of the founders of Radiance, and I was a high-frequency trading architect. Our job was to build solutions for hedge funds and prop trading firms to be able to trade faster than others. So just to share an anecdote, we would sell $1 million infrastructure to a prop trading firm. I see the guy 6 months later and said, I wanted to see, are you happy? Oh yeah, fantastic. I made it up with one trade. Real time is real money. We all know this. We've all read the book. Who's read that book? Yeah. So everybody is now aware that in the financial market, when you see news or a quote, it has to be as fresh as possible and as close as possible to the market. Otherwise, you're missing opportunity and you're being taken advantage of. So that's the third reason why you actually need streaming in any financial application today, even in payment. Now, what do? We specialize in scaling APIs. So for those API vendors that have large APIs that are consumed in real time, either aggregators or market data vendors, think about any of the large API vendors. We take the data using their security tokens and whatever they request for accessing their API. We calculate snapshots. We calculate the differential between each of the data snapshots that we've seen. And we put it in a cache that makes it available to all the devices that they need to service. So if they need to service 1 million devices at the same time, it's going to come from the same cache so that the API front end is not solicited as much as it would if all the devices were connecting directly to the API. The reason why we do the differential is to limit as much as possible the bandwidth that's being used for sending the data down to the mobile devices or drones when we are allowed to. And that's the reason why it works. You limit the bandwidth, less is more, so it's faster. So in summary, so first thing we bring is the ability to create a mesmerizing interface so that the user are actually stuck to your application, and we typically see the number of minutes in your audience to be multiplied by 3 when you present a streaming interface compared to a classic interface. We bring speed, not only because we push the data rather than having a trombone, but also because as we present data as events rather than a full JSON table, the companies need to just process the events, and it's typically 20 times faster than compiling the whole table, even for user interfaces. So once you've decided that you want to bring up streaming experience to your users, then you can decide to do it yourself or to use us. Watch out. If you did it yourself, we had to raise 8 million. We've been on it for 9 years. We're 15 experienced developers. So let's say it takes you a year to service 1 million devices with something stable. With us, it's just a few minutes, as Audrey will show us. And then at the end, you also get data reporting and analytics. So reporting and auditability is important, especially if you present data that comes from exchanges or news corporations, so that then you need to report your usage to them. It's all automated with us. And of course, it's available on any of the framework you would want to develop this into, iOS, Android, and any of the JavaScript. In terms of cost efficiency, so this is a real use case. We looked at the case of a customer that's using us for 1 million devices today, and we looked at how much it would have cost them to develop it. So typically 6 months for at least 2 people. And then to maintain the streaming backbone is 1 to 2 people full-time with dev and DevOps skills. And then in terms of CPU and network cost, if you don't use technology that is similar to ours, you end up paying quite a lot to your favorite cloud provider. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention, we work for humans, but also recently we started to get companies using us for machine learning. As the guy from Quantumatic was saying, when a company talks about machine learning, they need to talk about the framework. So we're talking about streaming AI. So streaming is a family of algorithm, and most events, I think, is massive online analysis. So what they do is, rather than fetching the data that they want to analyze, they get events from us through the APIs they've targeted, and then they put it into their real-time frameworks that makes decision for either sentiment analysis or any hedge fund smart thing they can do to make money. In terms of partners, we started in Europe with banks like BNP Paribas that we service in a few countries. And now we service Xignite. Who knows Xignite? Okay, that's the best market data API in the market. ChartIQ for charting, Trading Central for charts. And we love the NASDAQ. That's the most advanced exchange on the technology side. And we work and are partnered with all the major cloud vendors. So that's it. And now the real stuff with Audrey.
Good morning, everyone. So I have created my own trading application, which is a mobile application. I've used Ionic. So it looks really nice, as you can see. I got the iOS and Android version. It works nice. I'm using Ignite to retrieving values. The only thing is, I need to, click until there is new value to show, and it's not really what I want to do. I would like to have those values in real time without doing nothing. So first of all, we're going to create a new application in the developer portal. So that's Streamdata.io developer portal. I'm going there, creating a new app. Let's call it demo. Once my application has been created, a token has been generated to secure the application, to be sure that no one else than me would see that as I'm streaming. And here I can copy-paste any API I would like to stream to see what it looks like. I'm going to keep this one, which is one of our. It emulates a stock market API. And if I'm copy-paste this in a terminal, we can see what it looks like to stream data. So here, the connection has been opened. I received my first snapshot of data. This is my initial document. And then I'm going to retrieve only patches. So I know exactly what I've changed, but I don't receive the whole document again. And once this has been done, I can go back to the My API section. For example, I can see that My API has been automatically provided by my curl command. I can now configure it. So for example, let's say that I would like to change the polling frequency to 1. And if I'm coming back on the terminal, I can see that my polling frequency has been automatically updated without closing and reopening the stream. So that's quite nice. Let's see how it works for real. I'm going to show you some code. So here is my Ionic application. So it's a Ionic 1 application based on AngularJS. So first of all, I'm going to import JavaScript, Streamdata.io JavaScript SDK, and another one, fast.json patch, which I'm using to apply the diff. And so as you can see, in my controller, I got only one service, which is quite stupid. It's calling another services class, which is going to make a classic pull request. So we're going to remove this code and make it dynamic. So first of all, I'm going to need, obviously, a token. And here I'm going to create an event source. So we're going to call it Ignite event source, and calling the Streamdata.io SDK, JavaScript SDK, to create it. So create event source with Ignite API and SD token. So I'm going to call the Ignite object there. Once I get this, I'm going to create an Ignite data object to store values. And here I can start listening to several events. The first one I would like to listen to is the onData event, because that's my initial snapshot of data. So it's a function which is going to send me a snapshot. So my Ignite data object is going to be equal to this snapshot. And I'm going to assign the quotes object to Ignite data. Once this has been done, I'm going to listen to changes, to patch we've seen previously. So I'm going to listen to the onPatch event, which is going to send me patch. And here I'm going to use the other library I imported, my JSON patch library, to apply those patches. So I'm going to say JSON patch.apply on Ignite data patch. And then I'm going to ask the application to refresh the view. And to finish, I'm going to just open my streaming session. And so now, if you want to see it live, it's the moment to buy and sell your Barclays stock. And so it should be moving, but it's not very nervous this morning.
It's less active than a Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's moving a little bit less than a Bitcoin, I think. Yeah. It's moving, but only on delays. Oh! Yeah. And here it is. So as you can see, in less than 3 minutes, I've just had real time in my application. So time for questions. Is this a cloud service? So yeah, it's available as a SaaS for developers especially. It's free until 1 million messages and 10 users in parallel, so you can make every test you want. For API providers, we can provide on-premise or managed versions. Can this work with non-public APIs? Yeah, of course. So, for example, if you are using tokens to access an API, you can definitely add them in parameters. Yeah, I can show you in parameters or query or HTTP headers.
This one. Okay, on SignalR, I don't know who asked the question. It's very interesting, but has the person ever tried SignalR over 3,000 concurrent connections for a long period of time? Yes? Okay. 10,000? Okay. All right. And how is it refreshing very frequently or not? Yeah. So the main, let's say, besides some limitation in scalability for some people with SignalR, the main advantage would be to avoid having to maintain the component, as well as the front-end demos and plugins, whatever. I mean, the environment for that. So if streaming is not your core thing, and with SignalR you can have a cloud build that is not too big, then I don't see the advantage. Yeah.
If the token is in JavaScript, yeah. So everyone can see it, yeah, but it's we are using SSL and it's encrypted, so the token remains private.
Okay. Pricing model. Oh.
I think time is over.
So there was a question about pricing model.
So feel free to come and see us at our booth for the pricing model. We'll be happy to answer.
Talk about it.